a die, a fair die, a 6-face fair die, and you throw it 1,000 times, how often will an even number pop up? Think for a while. The next question. Say I buy a ball and a bat for $1.10, and the bat costs $1 more than the ball. How much does the ball cost? Right, so for the first question, the correct answer is 500 times. And the second question is 5 cents. But guess what? 13% of the time, people get it wrong. But what if we just spend a little more time thinking a little bit harder, we could have gotten the correct answer. Right. So how much do we think we know, and how much do we actually know? So imagine this. You're at a party, you drank a little bit, got a bit buzzed, and you're in no condition to drive. But you drove to the party. So, would you, say you live 15 minutes walk away, will you drive home or will you walk home? Right, think about it. A study by Stephen Dillett says that more than 1,000 drunk pedestrians were killed each year. Involved in an accident each year. No. Killed each year. Yes, 1,000. And 13,000 traffic-related, alcohol traffic-related deaths each year. So is it really true that it's safer to walk than to drive? Let's look at the per mile basis. 1 out of 140 miles are driven drunk every year. Or driven drunk like in general. So let's put it in proportion to how much you walk drunk. Say the average American walks half a mile per year, per day. So taking into account like everybody who can drive, let's assume everybody who can drive can walk. So that makes 43 billion miles per year. And if you take the same comparison of 1 mile walk per 140 miles walk drunk, the verdict is that actually like you face 8 times more likely that you will die from walking than driving. That is apart from the fact that if you drink and drive, you pose a threat to others, but if you drink and walk, you're kind of accountable to yourself, right? So, would we rather walk or would we rather drive? And is it really true that drink driving is that bad? So let's look at another story. I'm sure all of you heard about the airplane crashes around Southeast Asia, the MH17 killed 283 passengers on board and 15 crew. Right, that sounds pretty scary, right? So after knowing this, right, would we actually rather drive into KL or take a plane into KL, given the costs are the same? Let's assume that's the same. Right? Okay, so let's look at the evidence. There's one plane crash for 1.2 million flights. And your chances of dying is 1 in 11 million. Right? Whereas your chances of dying in a road accident is 1 out of 5,000. Right, so is it really true that driving is actually safer based on that one little story? But why does that story anchor in our brains? Why are we irrationally fearful? It's because the deaths of many traffic-related accidents are not covered in the news. And this kind of noisy, rare plane incidents are always reported. So my final story is actually who thinks life is unfair. That some people are born with a silver spoon and some families struggle to make ends meet. And inequality, it's a big issue, it's a big topic. But do we really want to close that gap? According to Maxwell and Boltzmann, the number of particles with kinetic energy on the y-axis and the kinetic energy on the x-axis, if you boil a pot of water, right, this is the amount of, the part in green is the amount of particles that actually move. So little account for all the actions when you're boiling water. And have you guys heard of the A9-10-1 social features rule? So about 1% of all people using the internet, only 1% are creators. Right? And only about 1% of the world's water is drinking water. And in the fight for closing the inequality gap, let's see. Sorry. Let's see the evidence. So if you can see, right, like this going, Industrial Revolution, and when it finally goes down, it's World War I, and then World War II, and then globalization. And this is from France. And let's look at Britain, the same thing. And let's look at the USA, the same thing. So do we really want to close the inequality gap? And mind you, this data includes all the booms and busts of the stock market. But apparently it's not very effective. It's the war that really can close income gaps. So do we really want that? So that's something to think about. And in conclusion, let's not drink and drive, and let's not walk and drive, and thank you.